All right, welcome. Hello, Carrie. We have Carrie here. She is a lovely, amazing mom inside of our Loyo Method program. And I absolutely had to bring her in here because she is just crushing her goals left and right. Carrie is from Ohio and she is a mom of two and a hardworking woman. And want to share a little bit about her story in terms of how she overcame a lot of her struggles and is still in that journey for sure. So welcome, Carrie. It's so lovely to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, absolutely. Let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about your backstory in terms of some of the struggles that you've had prior to joining the Loyo Method, in terms of like health or weight or emotional eating or, anything else that kind of is on your mind in terms of where you were and how long you had been in that space.
Absolutely. So I remember having the very first phone call with you and sharing sort of what was happening in my life and sort of where I felt. And I remember that so distinctly because I felt really hopeless. I felt like a failure, and I felt like there wasn't going to be an answer anywhere for me. I had tried so many different programs and I never got anywhere because nothing ever really got to the root of the issue. And so I tried, let's see, am I allowed to say the names of the other programs? Weight Watchers. I did Nutrisystem. I also did something called Real Appeal, if you've ever heard of that. And I've done keto. I've done intermittent fasting. I've also done some like prescribed medication, Saxenda, which was an injectable. And really nothing was working because even though there were those external factors, nothing was getting inside of me to help me become the person that I have. The entire time I just really, that's all I've ever wanted, is to live in freedom, to have that freedom from food, to not feel like a failure. And I always felt like I was sabotaging myself, but it was just because I didn't have the tools. I didn't know how to overcome them.
What were your biggest struggles in doing some of these programs? Like a lot of what you mentioned, they're weight loss programs. So I know weight loss was one of your big goals. Tell me a little bit about your weight loss goals, thyroid, emotional eating. Like tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you really wanted to overcome.
Yes. So I out of nowhere started having heart palpitations. This was maybe 10 years ago and was diagnosed as having Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. And Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease, if you've heard of that before. And then within the last, I would say, year and a half, during the pandemic, I wasn't getting enough exercise or movement, and my mental state wasn't really in the right place either because I hadn't figured out how to overcome some of those things. And so I ended up getting high blood pressure and going on blood pressure medication. And so with those factors, it's been sort of my goal to wean myself off of the need of medication. And obviously you can't do that if the problem still exists, right? You have to be doing something to make the change for that problem to go away. So over the course of this program, I am so excited because in going and visiting my doctor and getting my panels done, and getting my thyroid rechecked, I was able to lower my thyroid medication. It's not gone yet, but that's okay because my journey isn't over. It's my journey is now just my life journey. And I was also able to lower my blood pressure medication. And so I'm keeping an eye on everything just to make sure, when I can lower it again. One of the other things that I am really excited to share, and I know this doesn't sound like a big deal, but prior to being on this journey, I was taking Mucinex DM every 12 hours because something either in my environment or in my food was giving me, sinus trouble. And I know I sound a little funny right now, but it's because it's raining. Excuse me, but I don't take any of that anymore. None. None, not even a 4-hour pill, none. I don't even have any in my house because I don't need it. I don't take it. And so, being on this program, I got the absolute lowest numbers on my thyroid I've ever had in my entire life. And I also had the doctor give me an autoimmune test. And I don't want to cry, but my test came back that I had 0 antibodies in my blood for an autoimmune disease. And so, when you think about your why and why you're doing this, it's got to be strong. It's got to be important to you. It's got to be part of who you are. I feel like somehow through this journey, I know who I am, but I can be who I am, right? If that makes sense. And so I get goosebumps. I want to pinch myself. I can't believe it's me. My weight loss goals, I am halfway to my goal. And so I'm going to keep going. I've gone down 3 pant sizes. I don't even know what that is like. It's like I've shown my husband a couple of times what my waist looks like in my pants now, and I can't believe it because it's it's so worth it. It's so worth it to invest in yourself, to show up for yourself no matter what else is going on, to give back to yourself, because no matter what your history is, no matter what your trauma is, and mine's high, I mean, really high. If you can learn the process of when something isn't going your way, to sit with it and process through it and feel what that is and not numb it with something else like food, you can do it. You can get past that and you can sail through into freedom. And so that is a lot of a response to your question. So I'll just pause there and see if you have any follow-ups to that.
I love it all, Carrie. I'm so thrilled. I keep finding out all of these wins that I didn't even realize. The last thing I knew, your yoga pants were loose, and now you've dropped 3 pant sizes and you have no autoimmune antibodies. This is amazing stuff. I definitely want to talk about what you said in terms of you being you, now that you've found you and that you've uncovered some of the root causes. So I'm curious for you, and you've tried a lot of weight loss, dieting, nutrition focused programs. What was difficult about those, and what stood out for you in terms of coming to work together here in the Yo-Yo Method community? What is different about this experience for you than what you had ever done before?
All of the other programs, while they make an effort on support in some way, right? You're either going to a group meeting or you are getting on a call or in one of them, it was, you couldn't even talk. It was just texting. Like you were messaging, you could see it pop up on the screen and the moderator might share it with the whole group. Here, you get to connect one-on-one with you. And when we're in those meetings, if we have a question, we can put it in the group on where you say, okay, the call's coming up on Tuesday. Who has a question? We can put it in there and we can get our answer to it. But not only are we getting the answer to our questions, we're getting the answer to everyone else's questions as well, which you somehow may have in the back of your mind. It hadn't surfaced yet. And then you're like, oh, that's amazing. That's a great way to address whatever that is in your life that you want to address, or figure out, or uncover, or discover. And so when I say like about myself, I really have always had this desire to be healthy and to take care of myself, but I didn't really know how. And I didn't understand the correlation or the relation between the things in your environment and what you're eating and the effect that it has on your body. I honestly didn't know how bad off I was until I got to where I am now. I wasn't well and I didn't feel well for like a long time. Like, how did I not know that? And so realizing that when you are getting organic foods that have nutrients, they're nutrient rich, and they're providing so many things for your body, and your body initially is like it's been out in the desert and you're suddenly giving it this big giant jug of water, your body starts to react and your body starts feeling differently, and you can see the reaction in your skin. You can see it in your hair. You can see it in the way that you look and the way that you feel. Your attitude changes, your mood changes. And when you start to get, just like, going through those questionnaires and checking where your toxicity level is in the beginning, and then in the middle, and then again in the end. I haven't done my end one yet, but it's coming soon. But it was like leaps and bounds different just between the beginning and the middle. And, I know not everybody wants to jump in with both feet, but I even switched my toothpaste to natural toothpaste because I thought, okay, what am I putting in my mouth? Even if I'm spitting it back out, it's in there. I'm going to absorb some of it, and so just trying as much as I possibly can to go after those things that I get the return for, the things that bring my body life. So, yeah.
Tell me, okay, so I asked you sort of what was like one of your biggest wins in your opinion before we started this, and we were talking about emotional eating and thinking about food and things, and you said, okay, so we should call this how Carrie stopped thinking about food 24/7 and lives in food freedom now.
Yes.
What does that actually mean for you? Like, what did that look like, and what does that look like now?
Yeah. So I would say before, my brain would have continually given me triggers to go get whatever it was, and let's say it would have been a gluten-free sweet because I'm gluten intolerant. And so, or let's say it would have been, something else with sugar. And it was just like this nagging sort of thing in the back of my mind. And like food freedom for me now is like my husband has some like healthy snacks or whatever. And like they're called Made Good. And good for him because he's enjoying some food freedom as well. But he'll offer me something, and like I don't care. Like I genuinely don't care. And I'm like, no thanks, because I just don't want it. But it's not because like I'm using willpower, because willpower only lasts so long. It's because like everything in me has changed And that whole nagging voice that was back there that I thought was going to be like the end of me ever having a chance, is like it just quieted and went away. Working through the modules and understanding, some of the things and where some of those things come from, in your food or in your environment, and then figuring out, all of the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, like self-care. Just, go wash your face. go
I love that you, okay, I'm going to totally interrupt you because I want to know this, and I'm sure that so many women are like, self-care, like, are you crazy, lady? Like, I am a busy mom and I work and I don't have time for that nonsense. I run my kids around. I like don't get home until late. Self-care, I put myself last. Oh wait, everyone else comes first. I don't have time. I'm busy. So you are a very busy working mom. I just saw your son earlier pop into the camera before we started. Adorable. How do you prioritize your health when your plate is so full? How do you do this whole program? I mean, you've been showing up for yourself left and right in this program. I absolutely love seeing you, on a weekly basis. How do you do this? Full-time job, busy mom, implementing self-care, prioritizing your health.
Yeah. So, I have had quite the journey, as nobody listening to this really knows. I was laid off last year from my employer in like the August timeframe, and then I got a new job in October. And one of the things that made me so crazy, and I remember telling you this, was I can't keep up with everyone. I just started and I can't keep up with everyone. So I feel like I remember need to like give that context for everybody.
You were like in terms of like physically at your job.
Physically, I could not.
Like you have a walking.
Our building is a half a mile long from one end to the other. And I physically couldn't keep up, and I was embarrassed and I was sweating. And I couldn't stand it. And so I work at home 40% of the time and in the office 60% of the time. That's just the ratio for our team. And one of the things that I am able to do is get up, leave my desk, go for a walk, because the building is a half mile long. I'll take somebody with me. There's a woman named Meredith who loves to walk, and she has longer legs than I do, so I have to hoof it to keep up with her. So that raises my heart rate. And then you might laugh at this, but I know you're a runner, so you're going to understand. Do you have a runner's breath or like rhythm when you breathe?
Sure.
So I like to run. And so I have that. And so when I was having trouble with the stairs, I would start my runner's breath, like, I don't know, like 30 feet out from the stairs, and then do it all the way up the 2 flights of stairs, and then all the way back to my desk, and I would recover fine. It's not quite as much of a toll on me now.
But how do you find the time? You're busy. You're a busy mama.
Oh, yes. Yes.
How are you implementing self-care and prioritizing you? Because that is a huge issue. You digress, but it's all good stuff. It's totally cool.
So part of my self-care is getting those walks in, because I don't necessarily have time for that when I'm home. So that's one of the ways that I find how to give myself some self-care. Also, making sure that I have time to have lunch with friends, because I need that moment to reconnect. I also have, from my previous job, there was a fellowship group that I belonged to, and they have a call every week. It's at lunch and it's on a Wednesday. And so I will dial into that conference call, because that's a day in the office, have my headset on. Nobody asks me who I'm talking to. But that's self-care for me, because my spiritual life is very important to me. And then I also, if you guys have heard of the nail strips, Color Street, Every so often, I'll get a set and put them on because I love them, and then I can keep them on for a couple of weeks and they make me happy. So it's finding those little things that perk you up. Finding time with my son to play a game, either playing a video game with him or playing a board game or doing his reading books. Or like my absolute favorite is a dance party. So we will turn on Kids Bop and go at it.
Carrie, let me ask you this, as we sort of wrap up a little, what were the biggest hesitations that you did have when we first spoke and before you joined the Yo-Yo Method program?
Yeah. So, budget, finances, thinking about the financial commitment to be made for something like this and having everything prior to it fail. So trying to get up the courage, I think, to be able to make that type of commitment. And then I was also very afraid, because when you try to go after something so many times and it doesn't work out, that creates that feeling of fear and failure, and you don't necessarily know in the moment before you've ever experienced it, and I'm talking about the program, that it would be worth it. And it so is. Like, you just don't know until you get in there and you start working through the modules, you start realizing all the goodness that's in there, and how you can change your life.
So that's a really interesting point. So for you, or for anyone who's watching, they may be asking themselves, well, if I don't know, then how on earth could I overcome my own fears? So how did, if you don't know what you don't know, it's like you're walking into the unknown, which is scary as hell. And that's human behavior, right? When you're about to make a change, a real change, that is human behavior, that is fear. And it's funny, I did an IG story a couple days ago of me sledding down this hill, this crazy hill with my kids. And it was all about being fearless versus being fearful. And where does fearlessness get us? It gets us nowhere. It's our comfort zone and it keeps us stuck. But where you have fear, when you are fearful, but you do it anyway, that's real courage. And that was a scary hill for me, but you can apply that concept anywhere. So guys, if you want to go check that out, it's at Jessica Kishpa on Instagram. And it's like one of the recent videos of me sliding down the hill. And it's a great caption on this concept of courage. So for you, how did you overcome your fear of not getting a return on your investment? That it would be a waste of your money, of your time, and overcoming your fear of failure?
It was the conversation with you. Being able to talk to you and have you tell me that you felt confident after getting to know, kind of what I was working with and all of the things I was up against, whether or not your program would work for me. Your confidence gave me more confidence. And I know there was still like a mountain of fear there. But I decided to do it afraid. I did. I jumped in with both feet, and initially I kind of drug my feet a little bit. I feel like I was a little slow getting started. But I don't regret any of it, because I'm me and that was my path. And that's how I got to where I am.
I almost feel like you've become a mentor for other women inside of this program. And so many women who are coming in, just starting, are looking up to you as someone who is an absolute success story, who is changing your life. You have so much to be proud of. You have so much to just give yourself an enormous hug and pat on the back. And women are saying that about you. Carry this, carry that. This is real stuff that's happening. And it's amazing that you can become a leader in the process of working through your own fears. And just by doing the work and having that community of support. So I could talk to you, Carrie, about this forever and ever and ever and ever. I promised to keep it short, so we're probably even like over time. But what I guess I love that. I love asking women this question, because it's always a different answer from person to person. But if you were talking to somebody else, another woman in your shoes, another busy woman, a busy working mama, someone who struggled with weight, with emotional eating, and we didn't even tie on that, right? Emotional eating, binge eating, eating in secret. I mean, you can touch on that if you want. I know those were a lot of struggles for you, and overcoming even those types of things. We didn't get into the vulnerabilities, and if you want to touch on that, that's cool too. But what would you tell another woman in your shoes who may have these challenges, maybe trying all the diets, maybe having a lot of fear of failure, fear of investing in themselves, feeling like there's no hope?
I would look her in the eyes and I would say, you are worth it. You're worth making these changes for. No matter what your brain is telling you right now, it's not the answer. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to stay that way. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. You were right when you were talking about that, emotional eating through the roof. If I got upset, look out. I was coming for something. And binge eating, I could not purchase a package of something, because if I did, I would eat it within 24 hours, the entire package. Like, I'm talking about like a whole thing of Oreos or whatever. And I would hide. I would wait until people were upstairs or in another room or whatever and go get it. And, like, even in the most uncomfortable situation, like standing, looking, keeping an eye out, and trying to shove stuff in, like, what kind of joy is that? It's not. And it can be overcome. And your why needs to be strong. Like, you need to really think about why you want this, because I think for so long I didn't really know why I wanted it. And through this journey and discovering my why, because I don't want to be left behind. I want to keep up. I want to take care of my son. I want to play with him and not be winded. I want to live my life. I don't want to be on blood pressure medication, because what's the next step after that? And I'm in my 40s. I'm not in a place where I'm ready to give up. I don't want to do that. And if you start evaluating those things about your life and you understand the importance, your why is really strong. And you always go back to that. Even when you feel like you're going to stumble, you go back to that and revisit. And I love the things that you would say, like, show up for yourself. Nobody else is going to do that. And when you do fall, it's not a big deal. You don't have to wait till the next day to start over. Start over at that moment. Those things resonated with me, and they should resonate with every woman because they're true. It's those kinds of things that really weighed on my heart, and I feel like that would weigh on another woman's heart.
Couldn't have said it better. I am so grateful for you, Carrie, and I'm so thrilled and so proud, and it's just such a privilege, really, to be able to work with you in this journey and watch all of these amazing transformations. And it just warms my heart in so many ways. So thank you also for coming and sharing and being vulnerable with, all of these people. I so appreciate you. And thank you guys so much. Feel free, guys, if you have any comments and any questions for Carrie. She is usually a very open book in terms of responding back. So tag her or, comment and let us know if you have questions. I'm sure Carrie would be more than happy to share anything else that hasn't been shared already, considering you've shared quite a bit today. So thank you again so much for being here, taking the time, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, Carrie.